Hello, hello, and good morning. Welcome to the Going Executive Director Show. My name is Brandy, and Jeff will be joining us here in just a minute. Our purpose is to give you the vision, skills, techniques, inspiration, motivation, and daily activities needed for you to build a solid, profitable business. Now remember, this is our team's philosophy, and we will be talking about team specifics here. And we are going over John Maxwell's 21 indispensable qualities of a leader. And today we are on teachability. To keep leading, you need to keep learning. So I got my notes here on my phone so I can keep track. So teachability is not so much about your mental capacity as it is about your ability to learn and listen to and apply. Hello, good morning, Jade. So you can learn something from everyone, but seek out opportunities to listen from people who are in a position that you want to be in. So for example, if I wanted to have a happy marriage, I would go seek the advice or talk with and ask questions to people who are in a happy marriage that I would want to be in. So with that, with that, you can apply that to your business. Go seek out people that have what you would like to have and the relationships that you would like, and you will get that in return, because who you're around the most is who you're going to become. So, and this all applies to your business. I'm going to hand this over to Jeff, and he's going to talk about how to maintain a teachable attitude. And he will be right back here. He actually had to go run and grab something. Hello, good morning, Lori. So I actually had to do this with myself when I left high school. I realized I didn't really have the relationships, or I wasn't really heading in the direction where I wanted to go. So I really had to focus on the people I was around and really get around the people that I wanted to be around to be able to go where I wanted. Now, if you can't physically be around these people, now with the internet, this is more easy than it was before. So ways that you can do this is by reading, go online and listen to people like John Maxwell. You can listen to Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk. Those are just a couple of my favorites, but those are some people that you can listen to who can teach you some things of where you want to be. So Jeff, I'm going to have you take over now that you are back.
All right, guys, teachability. Kanisha's with us. Hello. What do we got going on here? Good morning. This is Jeff Gamble coming out of Indianapolis.
I'm actually going to open that door. It's hot in here.
Johnette's here. Michael, what's happening, sir? Haven't seen you in a bit. Hope the gym is going well. Alicia's here. Jerry's here. What's happening? Jade's jumping in for a minute. So, teachability, being humble enough to actually learn. That's always important. So what does John say about this particular subject? He said, number one, cure the destination disease. You'll never arrive. If you think you're just going to arrive, you're going to hit a level and that's all you're going to need to know. What you'll find is when you hit that level, there'll be a whole new list of things that you have to learn. And I had to learn this the hard way. Shamala's with us. Hello. I had to learn this the hard way. The different levels that I've achieved inside of direct sales, network marketing, the different levels I've achieved inside of our own business. Every single level has a different kind of version of their problems the bigger you get. And the bigger you get, the more issues you'll have. So what you'll find is there's always more to learn. John also says, overcome your own success. So you can't live in the past. You can't live off of the last big thing you've done. You have to go on and move on to something bigger, something new, something that you're doing. If you're not doing something new, if you're not running for a new goal, what a lot of people do is they'll set this goal so high and they'll run to that goal and they'll hit that goal, but they forgot to set another goal. So therefore they'll hit and then they're like, okay, now what do I do? You're always screwed inside the industry when your goal is to get somewhere and then your goal is to maintain it. If your goal is to maintain it, you'll fall apart. It has to be to grow from there. What is the next goal? And a lot of times we haven't even looked at what it takes. Like once we break through that ceiling, what do we do from there? 3, it says swear off the shortcuts. He says his dear friend Nancy Dornan, which is a network marketer, by the way, says the longest distance between any 2 points is a shortcut. That's really true. For everything of value in life, you're going to pay a price. As you desire to grow in a new particular area, figure out what it will really take, including the price, and then determine, are you willing to pay it? 4, it says trade in your pride. Sometimes we have to turn off the me syndrome, and we have to look at, okay, who is this going to benefit? Who is this going to help that isn't me? It says teachability requires us to admit that we don't know everything and that we can make us look bad. In addition, if we keep learning, we must also keep making mistakes. So you kind of have to be in that constant learning phase. What I call first gear, or what I was told to call first gear. You always have to be in first gear, learning something new, basically overcoming the next obstacle, learning how to set the next goal. And here's 5. It says never pay twice for the same mistake. So obviously we want to learn, hey, this didn't happen for us. What just happened? What do we need to do so this doesn't happen again? How do we keep moving forward? And then he goes into reflecting on it. He says, to improve teachability, do the following. Observe how you react to mistakes. Everybody reacts differently. For the longest time, I always shut down. Not only did I shut down, Andrew's with us. What's up, sir? Donald's here. I would shut down. I wouldn't ask questions. I wouldn't call, and ask for help. I would just kind of shut down for a little while. Maybe go to my next regional, my next seminar, and I'd be like, okay, I'm fired up again. Now what do? Unfortunately, that didn't solve the problem, and I kept running into the same brick wall over and over again. So you kind of have to know how to do that. Next, it says try something new. Go out of your way today to do something different that'll stretch you eventually, emotionally, physically. Challenges basically make us better. If you really want to start growing, make a new challenge. So every day set a goal of, it's pretty simple. If you're reading into a book, you're reading a certain amount of pages. If you're doing a workout, you're doing a certain amount of reps. How do you increase that? How do you, challenge yourself? Could I get more done in a day? I was trying to do that last night. Definitely paid for that in the workout. Last, he says, learn your area of strength. He said, read 6 to 12 books a year on leadership, and in your field of specialization. Leadership kind of covers everything, but then there's also your field of specialization, So if you're in direct sales, if you're in network marketing, if you're in specifically a company, you want to focus on that company and know, as much as you can about what's going on. Know about the comp plan. Know about how it was started. Know about the people behind it. It'll help you learn a different perspective of it. Continuing to learn in any area where you are an expert prevents you from becoming basically jaded or unteachable. So it's the idea that you can always learn something more, something new. I'll just kind of throw this out there. It kind of makes me crazy that people will get into this industry and they'll only listen to this lane of information, and they won't know anything about the other companies. They won't know anything about the industry they're in. They won't know anything about the leaders. They're like, well, I don't need to know anything else. And a lot of companies actually teach and preach this, that you don't need to know anything else about anybody else. Well, think about that for a minute. Is that necessarily that there's nothing else out there? Is that necessarily trying to control information and limit you from learning what else is out there? And I'm not saying something else out there is better or worse, but what I am saying is you can learn from so many other people and you become more knowledgeable. And by becoming more knowledgeable about other parts of the industry and other parts of the profession and other companies and other products and other services and other people, you actually become a much better recruiter. Because when you run into people from those companies, if you know the backstory and in some cases the comp plans are messed up, if in some cases, it just amazes me that I'll sit down and be like, your company almost went bankrupt, right? And they're like, no, I didn't know that. I was like, and the top leadership left. They're like, no, I didn't know that. I said, and then somebody infused a bunch of money into it to basically save its ass. They're like, no, I didn't know that. So it's just amazing to me that people just do not do any, they accept at 100% faith that what they're being told is 100% accurate, instead of we're in a sales business, and you don't realize that the biggest sale being made is the sale is you. You're being made the sale on what's going on. It helps to actually know what's happening inside the industry and outside the industry. Become aware. Read books, learn programs. So I'm going to go into, if you really want to understand, your profession and what's going on. This actually comes from Darren Hardy. Darren Hardy said, if you're going to go actually study or learn anything, and this subject is teachability. If you want to learn anything, what's the first thing? The first thing is, he said, you want to buy 5 books that are specific to what you're doing. 5 books. What are the best 5 books that I can read about what I'm doing, about what I'm building? I mean, let's use network marketing, for example. What would be the 5 best books? Now, based on what John just said, there are 5 books about leadership you need to read about network marketing, and then there's 5 books specifically about your industry that you need to read. Now, I've read a bunch of John's books. Some of them are better and more targeted than others when it comes to building, obviously, a network marketing business. I think the 21 Laws of Leadership is obvious. This book, along with it, because he references this book inside the 21 Qualities of Leadership, he actually references inside the 21 Laws. So those two would totally make sense. Winning with People would be another one. Failing Forward would be another one. And we're talking about for new people inside of direct sales. There may be a different set of books when you rise to a next level, but those are some of the basics. He says the 15 Laws of Growth is another one. And if we just want to round it out, with a 6th book, what would be a 6th book that you'd recommend from John?
From John? Everyone Communicates, You Connect.
That one's another really good one. I guess on my list, I would also have to put Developing the Leader Within You.
Yeah.
Becoming a Person of Influence is great too. I think those 2 books are kind of similar in some ways, but being able to influence people is very important. What are 5 books inside the industry that you need to read? Eric Worre's GoPro, Mark Yarnell's First Year in Network Marketing are both fantastic. Now, because social media is such a part of our industry, not knowing exactly how to build inside of social media is important. So I think Gary Vaynerchuk, even though it's not necessarily specific to network marketing, it's the blueprint Eric Worre used to actually build Network Marketing Pro. But that's Gary Vaynerchuk's Crush It would be another one I would think would be up in that at least top 10 books. So there's a list of books. Darren Hardy also said out of the 5 to 6 books you need to read, he said he would also choose 3 audio programs to go over. You're going to want 3 audio programs to kind of sit down, listen to in full, so that way you get an idea of what's going on, who's teaching what, how it's being taught. One for sure, anything by Jim Rohn. Your First Year in Network Marketing by Mark Yarnell is a book, but Jim Rohn has several programs that kind of lay out the mindset, the philosophy of how to do things inside of direct sales and network marketing. I think it's one of the best. Anything by Tony Robbins. Again, to be able to control your ideas, your thoughts, your focus, how to set goals, I think is imperative. And then he says you're going to want to go to 1 big seminar a year at least. He goes in, you want to compact that into a year. So it's, half a dozen books, about 3 audio programs, and then a seminar. He goes, if you do this, you'll be smarter than 80% of the people are on that subject matter. And the math is if you read 3 books on any one subject, you're smarter than 80% of the population on that subject. So you can imagine, if you use what John teaches about teachability and about learning, that you're reading about 10 pages a day, you're reading about a book a month. If you read 12 books at the end of the year, if you're 80% smarter than most people with 3 books, and you've read 12, which is obviously 4 times as much, how much smarter you'd be than the average person out there. How much more you'd comprehend, how much easier the ideas are going to flow. So this is why personal development is so important inside the industry. In fact, if you want to attract more people to your business, the more you're actually going to grow as a person and learn as a person about the industry, the better off you'll be. Some people think that just work ethic alone, that they're just going to be able to work harder. They're just going to be able to find greater people. The problem is that doesn't work. And if you've been doing this for years and you've been trying to skip the personal development and you think you're just going to outwork, I would say look back over history and see, are you getting further ahead now than you have before? And if you're kind of at the same place and you're kind of in the same position and you're dealing with the same problems, the issue isn't working harder. The issue is the personal development side. You may need to figure out some personal things that you need to grow and learn to be able to build bigger. I'm loving the Power of Who icebreakers. It's another one. Build instant rapport. Everybody has something different that they need to work on personality-wise. I think personality books by themselves are probably the greatest thing that I've read over everything that I've read, because when I started understanding the different personalities and the different ways people look at things and the different mindsets people have, I was able to influence people at a very different level. I was able to understand people. I was able to relax a little bit myself, because I didn't ever understood why I didn't get along with most people. I never understood why I butted heads with so many people. I guess the right word would be unlikable. I was unlikable, and obviously if people do business with people they know, like, and trust, and I was unlikable. I wasn't recruiting a whole lot of people. I wasn't connecting with a whole lot of people. I wasn't influencing a whole lot of people. So, bless you. The personality books by themselves helped me with so many of those areas. So that's something to look into. The personality books, meaning Florence Littauer, Personality Plus, Dr. Robert Rome, Personality Profiling, those two by themselves would change most people's business, would change most people's lives, honestly. I know that's kind of a cheesy phrase inside the industry. We're going to change your life. My goal isn't to change people's lives necessarily, as much as it is to give them a tool to kind of see things differently. They'll react to people differently. They'll be able to, work with their kids differently. They'll be able to work with their spouse differently. They'll be able to work with their friends differently. It helps in your job. Jim said there's two kinds of teaching. There's life teaching, and then there's training. Teaching to him is teaching about life. Training is training on a specific subject inside of your industry, inside of your company. So those two things kind of come together. If you learn a lot about life, you learn a lot about business, you mish the two together, it's amazing what you can do. Now, that's how you become teachable. How do you get your team to be teachable? That's the next thing. It's like, well, my team, because I always hear, well, my team doesn't show up. Well, my team doesn't read books. Well, my team doesn't. My question is how much are you doing it and how much are you talking about it? What is the book you're talking about that you read last? What is the audio program that you talk about that you listened to last? When you get around people who are really moving, and I'm going to point to one guy because there's one guy in the industry and actually part of, the support team we have that constantly talks about this is Darnell. Every time, almost without fail, every time that I've heard Darnell speak, he's always referencing, a book he's read. He's always referencing an audio program. He's always referencing some seminar that he went to. And he's kind of basically educating you on, this is how I got here, 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 this is why I'm still here. John Maxwell is another one that constantly talks about the same thing. The last book, where he got the information. When he was at a seminar or when he was at an event, who he met, the conversation they had, and how that ended up inside of a book that he ended up writing, inside of an audio program. It's constant. So that's another thing to look at, is if you look at the people who are doing very, very well, what are they teaching you? And sometimes you have to read between the lines, because you're like, well, all they talk about is business. Well, you have to listen as well. You have to be teachable enough to be able to hear what they're actually saying to you. In some cases, we want to talk and we want to tell them what's going on. We're not really listening to what's happening. But if you want to teach your team, what are you teaching them? What are you doing on a regular basis, and what are you putting out there? I can usually scroll through people's Facebook pages and say, this is what you're teaching your team to do. Are you teaching your team to be on track, be on task? Hey, here's what I'm getting done. Results. And I'm going to use Dave Peters. Dave Peters does a lot of Facebook Lives about getting better. So obviously we know he's reading and getting better because he's putting out Facebook Lives about getting better. He's also putting out, hey, I just got this presentation done. Remember, to the outside world, they don't know what you're doing. But if you're constantly talking about the activity, it can't just be the results. Real estate agents, for instance, will a lot of times just put up the results. Hey, I sold a house. But it's when you're putting up and you're teaching people to, you're teaching attention. When you're teaching people, hey, I'm out here doing a listing appointment. I'm out here doing direct sales and network marketing. I'm out contacting people. Hey, I just got my lead list. Hey, I just put out signs. Hey, I just, went out and collected business cards. I just got my business cards ready to make the calls. I just set up a meeting. I just did a one-on-one. I just did a party. I just did, whatever you're doing. I just did a bunch of third-party calls. If you constantly are promoting the activity, you're teaching the team, you're teaching the outside of the business world what you're doing and how you're doing it. So it's much more likely they're going to engage with you because they see you doing it on a regular basis. You're teaching them, hey, I'm somebody to work with. Hey, I'm focused, I'm on track. At the same time, if you're like, hey, I'm over here, hey, I'm over there, I'm in this, I'm in that. I've seen people on where it's like 15 different things, 15 different companies, 15 different product lines. We all have, know those people. So you also have to think, are you teaching your team to be not focused based on jumping into everything that's shiny and new and, a little bit of this and a little bit of that? If you think about it, what are you teaching them? And just scroll through your Facebook page and you'll know. If you had to list, you're like cat video, teaching them about cats. By the way, totally non-related. If you want to inspire people, put up things that are inspirational. Yesterday I ran across a video that was absolutely amazing. Is it The Voice? What did I put up? It's not The Voice. America's Got Talent, The Voice. What's the other show? Hold on, I'll find it. Here it is. What is this? Terry Crews, Child Prodigy. The Golden Buzzer. What is that from? What's the Golden Buzzer from, guys? What show? Type it in. I can't think of it. But anyway, Simon Cowell. I should start a watch party on this as soon as this is over. But go watch this video. It's absolutely amazing. I'm just going to share it again. And I'll share it in a group. I'll share it to the Going Executive Director show. Go watch this. And then this is the kind of stuff, I send to people because it makes you memorable. Emotions connect memories. So anything that is emotional. Now, the problem is people will choose emotional stuff because it's horrible stuff, I try to choose the inspirational stuff over the drama, tragedy stuff. And there's a lot of drama, tragedy stuff. There's a lot of fights. There's a lot of breakups. There's a lot of screaming and cussing.
FYI, if you do it to me, I will block you.
Yeah, we just block people who do that. But if you send me something inspirational, there's been a couple of musicians that I've seen. There's a cool picture that I found of a guy and his wife who lost their dog in a hurricane, and they looked for him for like a year, couldn't find him. After a year and a half, they finally gave up and went to the Humane Society to get a dog, and the first dog that they brought, the X Factor, thank you. The first dog that they brought in was actually their dog. They had found it, the Humane Society had it, and they ended up getting their dog back after a year and a half. It was just awesome story. It was actually on Weird Facts was the website, and Weird Facts doesn't always have great stuff, but sometimes it does. But what are you teaching your team? What's the newest thing that you've done? What's the newest thing that you've read? We were just talking last night. I was talking with Bess very late. Friend of mine, somebody that I teach with online next, actually, on the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. And we were talking about where the school's at, what we're doing, and what we need to know, what we need to learn. And I said, maybe it'd be a good idea to read The Millionaire Messenger again. And she's like, oh yeah, I read that. She's like, I'm looking for that book. And I actually typed it into my email and found my notes. on the Millionaire Messenger, and I sent it over to you. She's like, oh my gosh, this is the Cliff Notes to this? I'm like, yeah. So we were able to kind of look that over. So my point is, by doing this studying, by being teachable, by learning stuff, and then actually taking notes on it and being able to reference it and get it out to other people really quickly, you start gaining credibility with those around you. So always be in a mode of learning, always be in a mode of growth, is what John Maxwell says. If you're always growing, your teachability skills are going to be high. You're going to pick up things that other people aren't going to pick up because you're in the mode. You're basically using your mind consistently to look for, hey, where can I get the edge? Where can I get ahead? Where can I figure something out? And sometimes it takes, honestly, being around a completely different group of people. I was only learning so much from the group of people I was around, and then all of a sudden I started expanding out. I started looking and working with different people, and I was able to learn so much more. So that's what I have for today, guys. Hope you got something out of that. Tomorrow, Thursday, we'll be actually hitting, I think, one of the last ones. 21 is vision. So tomorrow we'll be going over vision and the 21 qualities. I appreciate everybody for joining us. And if you can, we'll see you on the next show, as well as the next show right after this is the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. We'll see you there. Thank you guys so much.